Hello, and welcome to all the movies I watched in May. I started off this month by watching Moonrise Kingdom, and of all the Wes Anderson movies I've seen, this one has the most heart. It's able to make a story about Cub Scouts into a romance war epic. 8 out of 10. Then I watched The Quick and the Dead. This is a western directed by Sam Raimi, and it is exactly what I thought a Raimi-directed western would feel like. It's very cheesy at parts, and it contains a pretty good performance by Gene Hackman. 7 out of 10. Then I rewatched Free Guy. My problem with Ryan Reynolds is that every character he plays is just a variation on Deadpool, so it makes all of his attempts at a PG-13 Deadpool kind of annoying. I was also not a big fan of the humor in this one. 6 out of 10. Then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Although I think it's the weakest Guardians movie, it is still full of laughs and gut-punching moments. I'm so glad that every once in a while, Marvel can still make a great movie. 8 out of 10. After that, I watched Hook. This movie sits comfortably at a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I do not get that at all. Hook carries a lot of childlike wonder with it, and it's pretty fun. 7 out of 10. Then I watched Blade Runner. At first I didn't like this film and thought it was kind of boring, but as time went on, I thought about it more and more, and I've come to appreciate it. Also, it's without saying that the production design is incredible. 7 out of 10. The next movie I watched was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. When I started watching this movie, I did not like it at all. None of the jokes were funny, and I found the main character annoying, and thought he was just an awful human being. But as the film went along, it kind of grew on me. I can tell why people hate it, while others love it. 6 out of 10. Another movie I watched was The Founder. This is a pretty standard biopic with editing that I didn't really care for. It messed up the pacing by making everything a little too fast than it needed to be. 6 out of 10. Next, I watched The French Dispatch. Wes Anderson has probably the most distinct style of any filmmaker. His most recent film, The French Dispatch, is his most stylistic. The movie is basically 3 movies in one. The first one was my favorite, but the third had a great performance by Jeffrey Wright. 7 out of 10. Then I watched Miami Vice. My parents said that this is one of the worst movies they've ever seen, and I don't get that. This is a film that doesn't really do anything wrong, but also doesn't really do anything great. 5 out of 10. The movie I watched after that was Blade Runner 2049. I had high expectations for this film, and I was majorly let down. I just didn't care about anything that happened. Jared Leto is delivering a bad performance, and Harrison Ford seems like he didn't care. But the technical aspects of this movie are incredible. 5 out of 10. Next film I watched was Empire of the Sun. This is a Steven Spielberg movie, starring a very young Christian Bale. I feel like this should be better than it actually is. It's missing the thing that would fully make me care. 6 out of 10. Then I watched Groundhog Day. This is a comedy classic, and I can see why. It's not the funniest movie ever made, but it did invent the idea of being stuck in a time loop, and it's smarter than you might think. 7 out of 10. After that, I watched Shazam! Fury of the Gods. When this was going to come out a week before Avatar 2, I said that it would beat Avatar at the box office. And I could have not been more wrong. I'm making the same mistake again by saying the next Ghostbusters movie will beat Aquaman 2 at the box office. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, this movie was pretty solid with some nice laughs until the climax where it became drawn out and boring. And after the climax, something so unbelievably stupid happened that I could not believe that someone thought that would be a satisfying ending to the film. 5 out of 10. Then I rewatched La La Land. Watching this again, I realized that you could cut out the last scene of this film and still would have worked and been a pretty amazing movie. But why would you do that? 10 out of 10. The same day, I rewatched The Wolverine. I was wondering if I was too harsh on this movie when I watched it around 3 years ago, because of the dumb twist that it contains. I like it a little better now, but the twist is still dumb, and the rest of the movie is also kind of stupid. But it still contains some pretty good scenes, like the bullet train sequence. 5 out of 10. That night, I watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I'm now realizing that the only Nick Cage movies I've seen are Ghost Rider and The Croods. So you could say that I'm not an expert on the film's subject matter. The scene where Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal are high and goofing around is really funny. 7 out of 10. I've talked a lot about Wes Anderson in this video, and his first film, Bottle Rocket, is definitely his least stylistic. There are glimpses of a style that he would be known for, and it's interesting to see where his career started. 6 out of 10. Next movie I watched this month was Air. This is a story that should not be turned into a movie. When you boil it down, you realize that basically nothing interesting happens in it. You could watch a YouTube short about this topic, and you would have learned just as much as the movie teaches you. 6 out of 10. And finally, I watched After Earth. This movie is not very good, but I expected a lot worse. Jaden Smith delivers a terrible performance, and Will Smith has absolutely zero personality. I never got the impression that these two were supposed to be father and son, which is insane because they're father and son in real life. 4 out of 10.